All right, it's live, is
Well,
it?
welcome back, everybody,
Hello.
to the Irish Furion. I am the Irish Furion, and this is my guest, Chad J. Gibson, and he's known to me as Chadley McWadley, which I do. I do these things,
Whatever
but
goes.
he's a great. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. I know him from the locale. He's a good bloke. He's got a YouTube channel. Go check it out, Chad J. Gibson.
Hmm.
Starting to put up really nice content. I enjoy watching it myself. So you're just gonna have a chat here this evening. It's not gonna get heavy. It's not gonna be my normal stuff. It's gonna be just relaxing and shooting the breeze and taking it easy. So
Sounds good.
so how are you this evening, Chad?
I'm good. Just hot. I'd never thought I'd get hot here in Ireland, but actually getting hot now. I have the window open, so if you can hear cars, um, that's
Very small.
why.
It's not disturbing. Yeah.
Is
It's
it,
not
oh, is
disturbing
it?
at
Is
all.
all right then. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
no problem at all. So I'm looking out my own window here, and it's very overcast,
Hmm.
uh, and a bit of rain this evening. But yeah, it's lovely. I mean, I like all the weather in this country. Hey, on
Yeah,
four, how's
I
it
love
going?
the summers.
Yeah. Um,
Mhm.
yes, and I grow vegetables indoors now, as well. I grow them by the windows,
Oh, really?
so I have like numerous cabbage plants by the window, and I have lettuce and tomato plants and
When did you
they
start
need
doing this?
watering. It was about 3-4 months ago.
Hmm.
So hello, Jasmine. Yeah, about I'd say about 4 months ago. I have carrots inside in the other room there as well, But I just want to learn. I just want to learn as I go older.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a good idea
uh,
actually. You never know what the future is going to be like, and if you have those skills, it can always come in handy. I don't know how to grow anything. I've got some pot plants, but they're not too bad. You just give them water. You don't have to actually take care of them. But
yeah.
I don't really have a
Well,
green
same.
thumb, so
Yeah, like it's just I was talking to a friend today. We met and she was out walking, and said that I was growing vegetables, and she goes, "Oh, everything I touch, I'm not great with growing vegetables." And I just went like, "It's like that, look, just do that every day, just do that." And I said,
but see,
like,
I've tried that.
there's no miss.
I've tried that, but they die. If only it was that easy, just drinking water.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing for me with say with, and I think for people in apartments and housing complexes and stuff like that is light. I think a lot of it
Oh
is
yeah.
light. Yeah, so it's kind of optimizing light for the most amount of growth, because they're the two things that they really need. Apart from feed, you can. I actually got seaweed recently, and I put it I put it in a box, a plastic box in the spare room there, and it's decomposing into the water. So the water then is becoming feed, and apparently
Hmm.
seaweed feed is very good. It's got growth hormones in it and everything. So I'm just using seaweed decomposing in water as a feed as well. I just want to keep learning. I just want to keep working it out and seeing what works best.
Yeah,
Food is good. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. You need it. You need it to survive.
You do. So what have you been up to recently? How's the channel going for you?
It's going good. I really didn't think that it was something I could do. Being, I guess I used to be more of an introvert, so it is quite daunting for me to start something where you could have like 100 people watching you or more eventually. Um, but I'm enjoying it. It's not as scary as, I guess, talking in a room with 100 people as an audience. Um,
Yeah.
I was never good at public speaking in school. It was like the worst thing. So it's pretty interesting. It's kind of weird because you're just talking to a camera, so it doesn't feel as bad. And you can kind of imagine it as one person that you're trying to explain something to, which is a lot better. I find talking to people as well, like it's just a lot easier than even talking to the camera, but I'm getting used to it. What about you?
You are. Yeah, I see it. I've been noticing the transformation, and it's
Yeah, I was
really nice
awkward
to
at the
see.
beginning.
Same for all, same for everybody, you
Hmm.
know. Yeah. Um, but yeah, and the I've noticed as you've been gaining that kind of ease with the camera and all that, it's becoming a lot more um, watchable. It's becoming a lot more desirable to watch the videos, you know.
Hmm.
So yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Um, mm, yeah, I like that latest one you did on masculinity. The points
Hmm.
you brought up on that, I thought they were quite good. And usually I'm kind of like going, okay, I'm just waiting for the next thing there, the next setback, the next setback, the next setback. And I'm like, oh, no, there weren't any.
How
You
do you
know?
mean? Like something bad or?
Yeah. Like there was not like you didn't say anything which I
Yeah.
disagreed with. You, actually, all the points you made were really good points, really valid
Hmm.
points, you know?
Thank you. Yeah, it's something I've been
Yeah.
thinking about a lot. And once you, I think, as a guy, like I was saying, accept your masculinity, it's like, and because you've accepted it, you know how to work with it, and you start to ignore all the rubbish that's everyone's telling you that's bad about masculinity. You actually, it builds you up slowly. I mean, it's not an immediate, but you start to. It's like a way of accepting yourself and understanding as men what we are and why we are a certain way. It's not specifically
Mhm.
wrong. It's just the way we are. And I like
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah. It's good to know. It's good to know the base metal to work with, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's good to have a base
I
and
see
you
it.
know where you're going.
Yeah, I
Hmm?
was I was sitting in town today, and there was two guys talking to a girl, and they were having a conversation.
Hmm.
And the two guys, they were Irish guys, and it was an Irish girl, and it was like I was listening to the two guys talking, and it was really embarrassing. I was eating food, and I got
Yeah.
up and I walked to the other end. I just couldn't continue listening to it because one of the guys said he said to the girl, he says, "Yeah, I think all men should stay inside, and only the hot women go out shopping."
Uh,
And I was
and
like,
he agreed.
"Huh? What's that?"
No, I was asking, did he agree?
The other guy.
Yeah.
No, it was one of the guys that said this, and I was like,
Oh,
where the hell is your sense of self? Where's your sense of who you are? It's like are you that cuckolded that you
yeah.
believe that all you got so many things wrong in those two sentences,
Oh, yeah.
so many things wrong. Like all men should
Hmm.
stay inside, all men. So it's just all men. That's right there in that little sentence is so many incongruities
Hmm.
that it's verging on the ridiculous. Then
Yeah.
the next where's the camera? The next sentence was only hot women should go and shop. I was like, what? What?
So all the others just
Only
stay inside with the men, I guess.
I was like, what if you're who? First off, who judges the hotness?
Yeah.
It's like who judges the hotness? How many? Like what percentage? Between 1 and 10. What if I think she's a 7 and you think she's a 4? What if you
Yeah.
think she's? Who's going to decide this? You know?
But it's, I think a lot of what's wrong is it's like a lot of guys these days, they idolize women so much, like they put them on such a pedestal. And I'm sure you've seen it with like the stuff going on with Twitch and these men that will just donate endless amounts of money to these people that they'll never actually have a chance with. Uh,
Mm.
and it's like, it's the weirdest thing for me. I can't imagine even like if I was single and interested in a woman, I don't think I would idolize her to even to that extent, where I'm
You
going to
don't.
give her
It's not.
donations. It's like it's
Yeah. It's
weird.
not. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to them. You're
Oh,
not. You're not supposed to idolize women. No, 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 no. It's not fair to them. It's the same thing as what's going on, let's say, today in idolizing certain groups. When you do that, it's like the pedestal and the pit. If you put somebody up on a pedestal, it's not fair to them. And on the other side of the pedestal is the pit, and
Mm.
you're basically it's like polarizing. You don't want to do that to somebody.
Oh yeah, that's true. I guess that's the thing. It just causes more division and more infighting with everyone, and then you get people that want to be above that pedestal, and they're like, "Why should that group be on the pedestal and not this one?" And it's like, I don't know. It's crazy stuff, man. I don't know
Okay,
what's the end result of all this. Gotta wonder.
what's that? No, all right, yeah. Thanks for. Yeah. What were the other points you brought up in that video on masculinity? Do you remember any other points on that?
Oh, yeah. The other interest, the one that I like a lot was the meek shall inherit the earth. I think it was. I can't remember.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where it's like where it's about having strength, but not using it. Like, it was an old Greek translation of the Bible anyway, that meek is kind of a mistranslation. It actually means that it's a warrior with the sword, but he's not using the sword, so he has the ability to use it. So he has the ability to be dangerous and be strong, but he chooses,
Right.
when not to use it. But you still need to be able to do it.
Yes.
So it's like you do get these people like that go out there and they're extremely violent, but that I don't think means they're necessarily masculine, even though that's them showing their strength, and defeating whatever they're defeating. It's still, you have to be able to sort of control that as well. That, I think, is also a big part of masculinity, which I really agree with. That's the biggest point for me anyway. And I like the idea, being able to do something, but being in control of it. Like, you don't want to be weak, but you don't want to be overpowering every single person you meet. You don't want to, because I think then you're just seen as a brute, and no one's going to respect you.
Indeed.
So yeah, I like that part, anyways.
So I didn't know there was like a misinterpretation or
Well,
reading from carryover
it's
from Greek.
it's kind of complicated, because there's the Bible, the old, it was translated from old Greek texts, and then there'll be some words that there wasn't exactly a proper word in English for, so they won't, they'll get the word as close as possible, and then sometimes it can be slightly different. But there are people that like really read into this and study, and you can actually look up some of the more complicated translations of the Bible if you want to, and it's quite interesting to find out. I mean, it's not that the Bible, the stuff that we know as the English version, is specifically wrong or anything. It's just I think it's just there are some more in-depth translations that might make it a little more clear.
What do you think of that?
The men simply don't understand the woman. They care about the person, not the cash. What do you think of it?
What do I think? I think someone's having a laugh. They care about the words, not the, there's a point in there too. Yeah, I mean, people are. I'll put it back up again for a second. Yeah, yeah. Women have an emphasis on resources, and they have an emphasis on seeing that a man can bring resources to the table. It's one of the things that makes a man attractive to a woman, and that's not to be cynical. That is to give credence to reality, I think. And that's how life is. If you look at animals out in the wild, if you look at other creatures that operate and behave similarly to human beings, the male uh, goes and gets resources while the female nests the young, the brood in the nest, and I think we're the same. Um, and that's okay. That's fine. I mean, and it's, so it's not a bad point, I don't think.
Hmm.
So what else? What else? You know what you were saying there about, though, about, we say, the translation from Greek and all that. We say the misinterpretation of
Hmm.
what that brings to my mind straight away. Now, it's not about masculinity, but do you know the way in Buddhist texts they talk about uh, um, we say, everything is emptiness. They talk about that they're how is it put again? Emptiness is the true nature of life. Emptiness is the true nature of reality. And I think what that is, and somebody in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong, I think, again, it's a type of misinterpretation of language, misuse of
Hmm.
language. When they talk about emptiness, I think in Buddhism, what they mean is that, like, when we breathe out carbon dioxide,
Hmm.
plants breathe it in the
All
same way
right.
as we breathe in oxygen. And so that what we breathe out becomes part of what they are. And then
Hmm.
they breathe out oxygen and we breathe in oxygen, and then that becomes who we are. And it's like, so there's no separation between us and them. There's a constant flow and connection of everything. And I think that's what they mean. I could be completely wrong about this now, but that's my understanding right here and right now at this moment, that um, um, everything is empty of form, because it loses form through that kind of interaction and connection. And I think that's what Buddhists mean by the reality. The nature of reality is emptiness, but it's trying to use the English language to give form to that
Hmm.
formlessness.
Yeah, yeah. So you think it's maybe where they
You know,
couldn't give a complete translation of what they mean in that sense?
I think so.
Hmm.
I think so. I may be wrong, but I think so. And I think it relates then to, in that kind of misuse of English,
Yeah.
like you were talking about, the meek shall
Hmm.
inherit the earth. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
because
and
I always thought that
Monaghan's,
was weird, though.
yeah.
What's this?
Say that. Say that again.
No, no, we can go on to this. I was just going to talk about the meek thing
Okay.
again. I was just going to say I thought it was weird when I first read it. I didn't quite understand how. I thought it sounds like weak, it sounds like people that are hiding away are going to be the ones that inherit the earth, like the kind of thing like the cowards survive, so they run off, you know.
It does, doesn't it?
Hmm.
It is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Monaghan says, I think we have strayed from true values and morals. Status and looks are more important these days. There is a void in many relationships these days. True.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah, I
agree
agree
with
with
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
And
I think it's again, people idolize looks and stuff, and I think that's part of. I think it's just become part of the culture because this is what you see on TV and any media. It's like they will put the best looking people, and I don't know uh, if that changes. I guess there's messages in there. They put in those people on maybe because they sell, and it's all just money and no real purity of anything anymore, I guess.
mm, it's very surface though, isn't it? It's very
Hmm.
that doesn't have much depth. Like, I was having a chat with somebody today about he's a young guy who's in his 30s, and he's still single, and we were talking about, we say, finding a good partner.
Hmm.
And I was saying to him that you've got to get along, like, you've got to get on.
Hmm.
Like, and I was saying she can, no matter what way she looks, she could look like a supermodel. If you don't
Yeah,
get
yeah.
on, you have to spend 12 hours a day with this person at times in the same physical space. If you don't get on, if you don't have some way of getting on and interacting, that's going to be hell.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. That is true. It's
Yeah.
a lesson I eventually learned. I
Yeah,
realized
I'm like,
sorry, you were saying?
yeah, no, I was just going to say she could have two heads. Her face could look like a bulldog's arse, like, but like if you get on, then that's great. You know, it's like that's the like you can't. There has to be. I know there's all these words like chemistry, and you've got to have the substance, and you've got to have the connection. They're all words, yes, that speak of that, but like you've got to have that thing whereby it doesn't matter how they look. It's got to be about bouncing off somebody, and even if you're angry, like that she can go and use that in a funny way and send it back to you, and you go, oh, and you wake up from your anger and you go, you laugh because that person has known how to do that, and that is, and you do the same back, and then then you're suddenly your kind of your tension, your anger is lessened because this person knows you and knows how to deal with you, and that's getting on, you know. And I think there are people who just can't do that, and they have other ways of getting on with somebody, and I think there's just ways of getting on, but if you don't get on, it's I'm really laboring a point here.
No, I know
you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, but like I will say that I think to an extent looks do play a part. Like if obviously when you first see the person, you're not talking to them or anything, you kind of got to be attracted to them from the beginning, and that's the biggest part I think looks should play at all, if it does. Like you wouldn't go for someone that just looks like they're not taking care of themselves in any way. Like if they're a mess, you kind of got to wonder, is the relationship gonna be a mess? Are they just not gonna bother with that either? So I get the idea of looking at looks to that extent, but it's like you gotta take it further than that. Like I said, it's something I realized when I was younger and more naive, I guess. I dated someone, and she was good enough looking, and I just thought, that's all that matters. I just have to be attracted to her. That's fine. And then I realized she was the worst thing that ever happened to me. So I completely realized after that, okay, I need to look at the personality as well. Lesson well learned.
Yeah. I think that's it, isn't it? As long as we learn those lessons and move on to the next stage of development or whatever. Just going to check out one or two more things that somebody says, somebody else is. Okay. Third eye interest stuff in hobbies. The electronics artist dabbled in trying to create music to stimulate this. Sorry. I'm reading away in the chat here when I should put it up on the screen. So on Forrest said, is it or it is related to the pineal gland, the third eye? Interesting stuff. John Hopkins, the electronic artist, dabbled in trying to create music to stimulate this part of the human. Well, this is something which is obviously possessing on Forward's mind at the moment. John, is it Johns Hopkins or John Hopkins? Are they two different people?
Hopkins. I'm not too sure.
No worries. Interesting. John Hopkins, okay. And Ben Grant is telling us that life is like the Outer Hebrides. Indeed,
That's
Joe.
very, very philosophical there.
Yeah. I don't have that exactly yet. See, at the end again says it's confidence too. Global Man, for example, only dates women half his age. He ditched the Russian model. Global Man. He ditched the Russian model last year. Can always go one better. That man. Well, you got great confidence in Global Man. In the end, I'll tell you that now.
But what was the Russian model though? Is that the sticking to one person or?
He's on about a particular person here. I think Global Man is a YouTuber. I might have seen one or two of his videos, not much. I don't watch them. But obviously, The End is a big fan. Okay. I got to put my phone on silent here, or I am going to be driven mad.
Just too
I'm
popular.
using well, no, I'm using my yeah, well, I'm using the I was telling Chad earlier, I'm using my old studio microphone here, an SE2200A studio condenser microphone, and it'll pick up every sound, and we don't want that, you know. So blah, 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 blah. What else have we got here? Like everything, like it has like. Okay, and says that. Very true. Yeah, I think yes, but okay. So, like attracts like, but I think there has to be enough difference for it to be interesting, if you know what I mean. So, like definitely attracts like, and I could say that has been the downfall of most of my relationships in life.
We got
With women.
you went for someone
But
that's too similar.
you broke up there now. Could go again, chat.
So I was just asking, did you go for someone that was too similar, or people that were too similar to you?
You broke up there, but I got you. I heard you. I understood you. It's
I don't
just
know what
I'd say it's my
that's.
Wi-Fi at the moment.
Oh, I
No,
see.
it's me. I'd say. Yeah. I always went for similar and familiar, and basically, I think we all do. I think that's normal. I think to go for familiar and normal. Yeah, familiar and is normal. But I think we gravitate towards what feels like home. I think that's what we do. So we see a lot of the same patterns in other people that we saw at home, and sometimes that's a good thing, and I think sometimes that's a bad thing, or a bad thing from the point of view that for learning lessons in order to maybe heal past traumas or whatever. But I think we are attracted to like Anne says, we're attracted like attracts like, but I think there definitely has to be enough difference for people to find each other interesting. You know?
Oh yeah, yeah,
What do you think of
that
that?
is true. I also would say that, if you are with someone that's somewhat different, I guess, you can always show them some of your interests, and they might actually become somewhat similar. At least I've realized that with the long relationships, you start to get similar interests. Like you start to like the things that she likes, because you're exposed to these things because you want to do what she enjoys, and same thing about what you enjoy. So there's, I guess, after a while you do sort of grow similar in a way. I don't know how else to explain it, but I've realized that happens. I think if you look at some of these couples that have been together for like 30 odd years, and they'll have very similar mannerisms, I guess.
Yeah. That's very true. You do. You actually take on You do. I do. I found that too. That you take on a huge amount of the traits of the other person. Even years afterwards, I found myself holding on to expressions and ideas and certain slants of speech and thinking that my partner would have had at the time.
Oh yeah.
That's very true. Very true, Chad. Yeah. Yeah, and Anne says again, I think we meet people that will push our buttons to bring about healing, but not many stay the course. Those that puts a mirror up to us, and that can be the difference. Well said, nicely put. Yeah, very true.
Very true.
So yeah, so you did a video on masculinity, and what was the one before? Oh, you did one on Christianity, didn't you?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
My whole I felt like I had to do one that just because for a lot of my life it was kind of like something I was almost embarrassed about, or to talk about. And this was in the past, and I slowly sort of lost my faith, and then came back to it. And I felt like making the video kind of, cemented it. It put it out there and told everyone, it's like, I'm going to say this. I'm not afraid of saying it anymore, and I'm actually quite happy with my faith. And I also wanted to explain my story because I thought, maybe someone else has the similar thing has happened to them, where they've been on the fence and they've kind of lost that belief and then come back into it. And yeah, I would definitely say it's actually improved my life a lot.
Wow.
It's helped through some of the worst times I've experienced. I'm not sure if you know, but just did I just go louder? No.
That was just the mic picking up some sound, balancing out some sound in the background. I wouldn't worry about it.
Sorry. I was gonna say
No,
I
you're
went
fine.
through some troubles just before the whole virus outbreak. My dad passed away, so I
Right, I remember. Yeah.
yeah, so it wasn't an easy time, but that definitely helped me a lot, and I'm kind of happy that I came to terms with it before anything really bad happened, because it's kind of it gives you a kind of strength, you know. Weirdly enough. So yeah, with what did you think of the video though? What do you make of it?
Good. Yeah, I thought it was good. Yeah. Again, you made some very salient points about it. And you're brave. Like it's a funny one, you know. You're right. There is an issue, like because it's been so dismantled, and the church has behaved so badly over the last while, that people really have no problem attacking it and continually dismantling it. And so to say anything positive about Christianity or Catholicism or you know is you can be seen as an idiot.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you know,
that's
yeah, and I think it's an interesting one, considering that all of what we know about our society was based on it.
hmm.
All the thinking, all of the structuring, um, all of the drives for pushing forward were based on these things related to morality based around Christianity. And you know, like yourself, I mean, I've been exploring it for the last year or 2 years, and I've been atheist all my life.
Hmm.
Well, not all my life, since my 20s, early 20s, teens,
Oh,
I'd
so
say.
were you born in? Well, I mean, were you
Yeah,
raised into? Was it? I imagine it was Catholicism, or was it?
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, and and so you know, I mean, I've been exploring the ideas around it, and I've been exploring. To me, it makes sense. It makes sense from a structural point of view, from a logistical point of view, from a reasonable point of view. Um, Investing my feelings in it is an issue, is where I have the issue, and
Hmm.
I can do it at times, and I feel a reciprocation, and I feel a connection.
Hmm.
Um, it's a personal thing for me. I think
Yeah.
that I think that the institution is corrupt, and I think that my God, I mean, like I say, my God, like the everything has become about the love of money, including the churches. Um, I was like the very idea that during this time, the churches closed its doors uh, on the word of the state shows how inverted everything has become. Because in the past, the state would have actually acted on the council of the church,
Hmm.
and the fact that they could close the doors of houses of worship, and that priests who are only supposed to fear God. You're only supposed to fear God. That's your, and by fear is meant awe. You're supposed to have awe for
Hmm.
God, right? Like if you go with the theory, the behavioral theory, the structure of it, you're supposed to fear and have awe for God. Yet these men give up their authority to the government and the state, and it's like, what's going on here? you know?
Oh yeah, it's crazy, man. It's like it's all gone backwards, and it's just weird to me. It's like everywhere you look, you'll find some criticism of Christianity. It's like you can just scroll through some news feeds and you'll find something which is like trying to debunk this or say something about that, and it's like it's everywhere. It really makes me think there's an agenda behind that. And actually, interestingly, reading the Gulag Archipelago, I think, as I mentioned in that video, you really understand the agenda. That book's crazy. It's really dark, but gives you good insight into, I guess, the morality of people and how a government tries to control people, and people without values or morals are just that much easier to control, because then the government can instill those values and morals into them through an ideology or through propaganda. And they can do some really bad things with that. I mean, sometimes they might be fine and they'll just be good, but that doesn't always last. That can go really bad really fast.
Yes, yeah, very true. Like I was going to save this for another video, just putting this point out there, but I'll say it on this video, and I'll put it out there. I'm not a religious fanatic. Like I keep saying this to people, like I have to apologize. Like as I said, I'm only exploring it for the last. We've lost 3 people since we started talking about Christianity. It's wonderful. We'll try. See, can we get it down to 3? Right. So. Yeah, so
I haven't lost you any subscribers or anything.
Don't give a crap. Go off with them. Get lost. I don't care. It's like I keep saying it to people: the smaller it gets, the better. I don't want more people. The bigger the channel gets, it's like, oh no, we're up to 8. All right, we better start talking about Christianity again. So like the thing is that the point I want to make is this is the all important point, is that I'm going to take this one line out of the Bible, right? And the line is this, that Jesus said, "For any of you who lead one of these astray, cast a millstone around his neck and throw him into the sea." Okay, so that's a line from the Bible. Listen to how violent that is. Jesus Christ said that. And by these, he meant children. Any one of you who lead one of these astray, put a millstone around his neck and him into the sea. Throw him in. Right? That's seriously violent. Now,
it is.
Now think what the church has done with the whole pedophilia thing and the hiding and covering up of those things, right? That's a complete contradiction of the very teachings of what the church is founded on.
Oh yeah,
That should tell people everything they need to know right there. They don't need to go any further. Right there is the contradiction. That is the point of interest.
Yeah, it's a weird time, man. I don't know why it's become such a thing. I don't know if it's always been a thing and it's just been well hidden, but I think it's also the case of when this stuff does come out, it's like it's everywhere. They plaster it everywhere because this is their chance. And it's not good. It's definitely not good. But it's like I don't know why it's gone that bad. I don't know what's causing it. I have no idea. It's very weird. Something bad's happening. I just have no idea.
I do think, though, that everything it's like an elastic band, that when you pull something far enough, there's usually I can't figure out where my camera is. So when something goes too far down one direction, there's usually a reaction, a snapback, and then it returns in the opposite direction. And I think that's what's happening now, I think, is that as you just pointed out there, that things have gotten so bad that beauty and truth have to come back into the equation. You know,
Mm.
that it's only for so long can lies and deceit exist until there is so much imbalance that the pendulum has to swing back the other way and bring back in light, beauty, and truth. You know,
Hopefully, but I worry that it's still swinging. You know, it could still go further on.
oh,
Like
for
we don't know
sure.
if this thing's
Yeah,
actually going to come back, or if it's going to if it's just in the process of getting to the worst part. I guess I feel like
mm,
that can kind of sum up a lot of what's going on in the world right now. You don't know where it's going. Some scary stuff I've read in the news just a moment ago as well, um, which was I think it was a clash between some Chinese troops and Indian troops. I don't know if you saw that.
no, I didn't. What was that about? No, she just makes a very good point there. I think that's a good point. Yeah, that's well said. Yeah.
Mm.
So, what were you saying about Chinese and Indian troops?
Oh yeah, no. There was a clash at the Chinese and Indian border. Apparently, some disputed territory or something. I think in the Chinese set up camps, and I think it was only like three odd soldiers that died. But again, you can't be sure about these things. But apparently, things are getting quite tense there with China and India because you know, China is just everywhere. Elastic band theory. Nice.
Um, Yeah, and what do you think that's down to? What like was that like a skirmish of some kind between India and China on the border?
Yeah, apparently it's like they started shouting at each other, and there was obviously a disagreement of I think where the actual border is because they haven't defined that area or something, and obviously China is quite aggressive with its territory as we've seen in the past, but I don't know what's gonna become of that. But they say that the scary thing about this is that the first time that such tensions have happened between two nuclear powers. You know, that's like right next to each other. So I don't know what's going on with that, but it's actually pretty scary. You know, I don't think. I don't know. I just feel like China is just becoming more of a problem, and it's just going to keep being a problem for every other country next to it until it comes all the way to Europe, and then it's going to be a problem that's too big for anyone to actually do anything about. Scary times, man.
True. It's definitely on the ascendancy when it comes to world powers, and that's for sure.
Oh yeah, the one thing like I would say in terms of the most powerful country, I would much prefer America over China. It's just I can't imagine that you know the way they are that essentially dictator. Um, I wouldn't want that. It would be terrible, man. I don't think they care too much for human life.
Yeah, that does seem to be the sense one gets from the information that we get out of China. Um, it's a funny one. I mean, the I was yeah. So I was looking at a video online there on YouTube once, and it was about China. It was about the generation that came just after communism, or that was spawned under communism,
Mm.
spawned that grew up under communism. Yeah, so like, um, and that they had no morality, or little morality.
Mm.
I got wrong about that, and I'm open to correction. And then the generation that came after them sought to reinstate morality again. I think that was just the way the narrative of the video that I was watching
Mm.
that was telling me that. It may be wrong, but uh, take control both sides. Yeah, I would tend to agree with you, Jamie. That is true. Um, Yeah, and it's,
Yeah,
you
could be.
know,
It's definitely possible.
yeah, with the whole, wasn't it the whole thing there for a while with the point system that they have in China? Don't it's
Oh
called
yeah,
freaking
I
point.
imagine that's going to come here at some point. I really feel like we're eventually going to see it or some version of it. Not obvious, but I think
Sha-
it'll happen. You know.
You're like, I'm screwed. I'm like, I'm like, if that comes here, I'm heading to the hills and I'm just going to
Yeah.
bunker down. I'm going to create a network of tunnels.
Oh man, it's such a problem. I feel like and I mean, did
Take
they
it.
actually protest against that in China? Do you know if it was a like I didn't read too much into the whole that I just knew the app existed and that it was actually like a the whole point system where as if you have a guilty family member or you was even associated you lose points. But yeah, did they even protest that? Did they even fight against it?
I don't think so. I think the bios ethnos thing in China is completely different from Europeans and from the rest of the world. I think that they had they had communism for so long, and that
Mm.
before that, what they had was imperial systems, whereby you had the usual kind of like caste systems of peasantry and similar to the monarch system in Europe and all the rest of it. But hey, Emmanuel, how's it going, man? And I think oh yeah, Chad. By the way, Emmanuel Godson there that's just shown up in the chat. He's a fantastic artist. He's a really good artist. If you go to his channel, check out his channel in the
Oh
chat
yeah,
later. Oh, he's brilliant. Yeah, really great paintings. And politically sharp as well, you know.
oh yeah, oh
Very
definitely.
satirical. Yeah, he's good. He's good. So, what else is on your mind, Chadley? Tell us more about what's on your mind.
Putting me on the spot now. My mind's just gone blank.
Something will rise up into the surface.
Let me think.
Have you any plans for another video? Got any new ideas?
Yeah. My next video,
Can you
something
talk about it?
interesting happened in South Africa where there's this lady that she was like a minister, right? And she was caught. She was on TV doing an interview, and she farts. You know.
Excellent.
But the funniest part is she later on denies that happened. Now this was on TV, you know, and it's not like they put it there as it was just part of the like. She said that someone edited it into the video. Ask him.
Oh, so that was her way of getting around it by saying that somebody edited her farting.
Yeah, but it was on live TV, and then so I guess her idea was that someone must have that was actually putting this video up, just put it in there. But you can see there's like a reaction, you know, when she farts, she's like she gets shocked that came out, like it slipped out. But it was interesting to me that she would go so far to just lie about it. Like I don't know, like you got 1,000 people saw you at least. It was on live TV. It's just like how can you lie about that? It's there, you know, and it's even worse.
I
that
think I saw that. I think I saw that video. Now you're talking about it. I think I've seen that.
Have you seen it? There's actually
Yeah,
a remix song of it as well, which is really interesting. I'm gonna upload that as well.
Yeah. I remember that. Those little things sometimes make me laugh in a big way. The end. You don't know that. You don't know Emmanuel's sales history. Come on now. Did you see that? Did you see that? Yeah. You see it?
His loyal comrades haven't bought a single one of his masterpieces.
You can't know that. Stop that. So, hey, Andy. Okay. So, yeah, so you're going to do a video on that one?
Yeah. Well, that's going to be the next one. I've basically planned it out. Tell me, with your videos, do you plan them out, or you just think, okay, I'm going to say this, and then you just go with it?
It's both. So I'm way overdue for doing the kind of videos whereby I get up the internet on the screen using OBS and all the rest of it, and putting myself up in the corner and speaking about what's on screen, all that. It was easier when I had the laptop. I don't have a laptop now. I have the huge PC right here now in the kitchen. I was telling you that earlier. I have to bring that and the monitor in from the sitting room into the kitchen here. And as you can see, I've had to set up the studio condenser microphone. So it's quite a haul. And I don't like leaving it. Yeah, and I don't like leaving it here because I cook. Obviously, it's my kitchen. And I don't want to cook my dinner around electrical equipment, because moisture from the cooking can damage the equipment. So, it's a bit of a pain. So, it was great when I had the laptop because I could just flip it open and I could just start working away on stuff really quickly. That was so nice. That was so handy. But I will make the effort again soon to put up a few of those ones, because there's one to do with which I missed, which was to do with the flag being put up outside the GPO. I think it was Patrick's Day, St. Patrick's Day, whereby, correct, somebody in the chat tell me, they put up the United Nations flag outside was it the GPO, instead of the Irish flag. And I thought that was, at the time, I was thinking that's very telling, that they're putting up the United Nations instead of the Irish flag. In other words, to say there is no Ireland, that the border's gone, and now you're part of this larger structure called the United Nations. And I thought, when did this happen? When we were never asked to actually dismantle Ireland all of a sudden. So I wanted to do a video on that. And you're back, Jamie. Do you want a cup of tea? So put the kettle on there. So yeah, so I do like making those videos. I did ones on white privilege, Irish privilege. I did one. I did lots about halfway through the length of my channel has been up. And I really liked making them because it forces you to do research. It forces you to go through what the mainstream media is saying on papers and then rip it apart. And there's also one where, and you said something really good on your last video or your video before that, whereby it's like when you do the video, it's teasing you. It's actually teasing out your own thinking. You're actually seeing your own thoughts presented to yourself back. It's really good that way. And you then get to see the whole thing from a completely new light. And so I miss making those videos, like the videos where you see me just talking straight into the camera. What I try to do there is, oftentimes it's just fueled by rage or by anger or by sheer outrage at what's happening. But I like to tame that with my thinking then afterwards.
So you make the video first and then you tame it, or you?
No, I usually, like in the shower or something like that, I'll actually start to organize my thoughts, and I'll go, okay, I need to say that. I need to put it there. I need to say that. That needs to be said. That needs to go in. Don't forget to put that in. And then I'll come out of the shower or I'll come back from a run and I'll start to speak into the camera and go, okay, bam, 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 and put it like that. Just put that one away. So yeah, it's so to have both aspects, I find very cathartic and very helpful.
Yeah, definitely. I know that feeling, but I'm always afraid because I'll read something that really annoys me, or something that really gets to me. But I also feel like a lot of it is just sort of like rage bait. It's like they're trying to draw you in. They're trying to get those clicks, and it does frustrate you. Like they'll say something, and I also find I think they do sort of blow things out of proportion more often, and it's like they're trying to trigger both sides, you know, so like the left and the
Yeah,
right, and it's like they
yeah,
just want anger, so you click and you read and you get annoyed, and then maybe you make a
yeah.
video about it, and then it's like you actually just giving them more publicity in a way. So
Very
I
good point.
gotta be careful of that stuff, and
You
that's
do.
kind of what I'm trying to do, you know.
Good stuff, man. That's good, good self-awareness about that. Yeah, yeah. So she's just saying, it's nice to get feedback like that. Reaction videos. Yeah, reactions. Yeah. There's somebody else said that to me before. I was stuck for a while. I was telling you that I wasn't doing videos. I was quietly. I think the word is black pilled, or whatever like that. I was down about the whole thing for a long time, and I didn't do videos. And somebody just said, put up a rage video, just rant for.
Yeah.
And I kind of got what they were saying. I kind of got the vibe that if you do that, you'll kind of, it's cathartic again. You get it out of your system, and so that does make sense. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like if you can do it right and say the right things, I guess it's like it's controlled aggression, which isn't specifically a bad thing. I mean, sometimes you can come up with some amazing stuff, and it's nice to get it out there. But and I think people can kind of feel that passion sometimes, when you're really trying to get it out, and then it becomes even more than if it's something that's planned and a bit toned down.
Yeah, that's why I do actually think it through. The initial feeling. I did a video on Kira Kelly, the doctor. Excuse me while I laugh for half an hour. Dr. Kira Kelly, and I just let rip. I did not. I was rage multiplied by 100 on that video because I had a huge blow up with somebody I know about that, and they had handed me that piece of paper they'd been holding on to because they thought I was far right, and it was like, I was like, why far right? What does it mean? Far left, far right, far left, far right. It's like, no, I just think this is wrong. Why is that far anything?
Oh yeah, that's like I think I was watching a video. I can't remember who it was, and he was talking about something Ricky Gervais said, where he was talking about how he made that whole speech, and I don't know if he was just trying to trigger people, but I think people started calling him alt-right because he said those things, and he was like, how is talking about how bad these corporations and wealthy people are alt-right? Like, what's it got to do with anything?
Yeah,
it's weird. I think it's like if you're it's I think that's a narrative they're trying to go for. It's like if you just criticize the corporations, you're alt-right. If you say anything bad about anything mainstream, then you're alt-right. Basically anything. It's like a curse word that they're using now. It's weird, man.
Exactly. Well, it's control, isn't it? It's censorship and control. It's making sure you don't say anything which upsets the apple cart. So what else? The end is saying something here as well. I don't think you can rant, at least not Warren Chambers rant. No, Jesus, these guys are like fucking genius ranters. No, I don't rant. The points are very, like, not that these guys don't make points. Of course they make points, but yeah, I take it. So, so are you really going to make a video about a farting pastor in South Africa?
No, well, it was not a pastor actually. It was a government. It was a government minister. This big lady.
Yeah, that's right, government minister. That's right.
Yeah. No,
any other ideas? She was what?
No, I just like the aspect of the fact that she would blatantly lie about something like that. Like, it's so obvious, but it's still something she's.
Will you include the clip? Will you
Yeah.
include the
Oh
clip?
yeah, definitely. I'll include a lot in there. There's some interesting stuff. South Africa is weird, you know. It's with the lockdown, they actually made cigarettes illegal and alcohol.
What? Really?
And then
Wow.
they brought back alcohol, but cigarettes were still illegal. So it's like, okay.
That sounds like a bipolar fucking lawmaking, you know?
Yeah, it's very weird. They tried to take them to court for it and everything. Obviously, the cigarette companies weren't too happy about that. And I don't know what's happened with that now, but it's like there was no proper logic to what they were doing or any of the laws they were enforcing. So it's like I don't think they were even like consulting proper experts or anything like that. It's just they were doing their own thing. It's again, you know, that's South Africa. It's like it's a cowboy government. They do what they want.
Do they?
Oh
A
yeah,
lot.
all the time.
Well, you know, some governments aren't too far from that around here.
Yeah, you think so? Well,
Oh,
at least they. Well, I don't know if it's a bad or a good thing, but they seem to be a bit more discreet about it. Like they'll
They're
first,
very discreet. Yeah.
you know, it's not an obvious thing. It's like if there's corruption, it's going to be a lot harder to find than it is with South Africa, anyway.
Well, there is the whole thing with St. Patrick and the snakes. No, it's quite. There's a reason for that.
You need another St. Patrick to come along and chase out all the snakes.
Oh yeah, I'd say we need an army of them at this stage.
Yeah.
So come on, anybody in the chat? I've got any questions? Not too heavy stuff with the political stuff because this is just a friendly old chat between myself and Chadley. Any thoughts? Anything that you could suggest that you would like to hear talk about?
Any replies? I can't see the chat. Can I? It's only, oh, there's a live chat. I was on private chat. There, now I can see it.
You can see it, yeah. She wants to know what the Anne wants to know what the situation is with the situations with mandatory vaccines in South Africa.
I don't know at the moment. I don't think they are pushing it as yet. I really hope they don't. I know there'll be people that won't agree to that, and I don't think they'll get it right. But South Africa is going a little crazy at the moment with, I don't know if the virus is spreading more or less. I don't think that lockdown was actually useful because no one, you know, there's a lot of poor communities with everyone really quite close together. You know, there'll be like someone living in a room with, 10 other people, and they're right there, and they're not all going to stay in the rooms. So they're going to wander around, and the government is been going crazy on those people, basically beating them and doing whatever they can. So if they do enforce mandatory vaccinations, I honestly wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if they're going to, but I really wouldn't be surprised if they did that.
Okay.
I don't know if they'll get the vaccines, well, to be honest. But
you what?
I don't know if they'll get the vaccines because I don't know. I read somewhere that they actually, South Africa is on the lower list of first countries to get the vaccines. So who knows what's going to happen with that? Also, the currency crashed quite badly. So I don't know. It's a weird situation right now. Very strange.
What's the story with the currency down there?
Oh, it fell apart again because with the lockdown, the economy had to shut down, and then I think the last rating agency rated it junk. So now it's gone. It's basically when I first came here to Ireland, I think it was 17 rand to €1. It's now 20 rand to €1. So it's gone down quite heavily. and they're also having problems with the power stations, and everything's just shutting down. It's a weird situation. It's actually quite scary, you know, having family and friends there they don't know what's going on at the moment. It's just hoping for the best, I guess.
Okay,
But
your
I have a lot
your
of friends.
signal got
Sorry?
throttled quite a lot there. Yeah, your signal got quite throttled over your last sentence there.
Oh,
Quite
sorry.
throttled.
No, I was just saying I'm quite
No
worried
worries.
about some of
Not yours.
my family and friends that are there. It's like they've all kind of started to realize something's going really wrong with the country, and we don't know where it's going to go, you know. But the way I see it anyway, it doesn't look like it's going to get better without some sort of violent revolution. And I wouldn't want to be there for that. I don't know what that would look like. But it's been going downhill for so long. That's like, you know, when is it going to get better? I waited most of my life for it to get better, and it just didn't. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is for that country. It's pretty sad, actually.
What age were you when you left?
Well, it was 3 years ago, so I must have been about 25.
Okay. Right. And do you have any feelings about having left? Do you miss it? How do you feel about South Africa?
You know, to an extent, like I am proud to be South African, but because because of what I went through in the country and having come out of that, that I'm proud of, and you know, seeing a lot of these other South Africans, it's like we've all been through some terrible experience, and it has made me proud of it, and I do miss certain aspects of South Africa. I don't miss all of it. I don't miss, you know, the crime and the terrible politics and all the craziness of that country. But I guess, you know, I to a certain extent I miss the openness of it. How and that's not like people being open, but just you know, how open and wide everything is. These long roads that you can just drive on forever. It's a nice thing that. But yeah, it's a weird situation, but it's also one of those things where I started to realize just how bad it was only after I left. It's like you have to kind of leave your home to see all the problems that were there, you know, if that makes any sense. But yeah, it's weird. I don't think that I will go back there unless something really good happens and things just start looking up and everyone starts being nice to each other and agreeing better. I mean, you think that's going to happen? I very much doubt it.
Would you call it a failed state at this stage, or is it?
Oh yeah,
it is a failed state.
Yeah, it's falling apart. I don't know what could make that country better other than some violent revolution, or because there is other parties, you know, that are trying to do better things for the country, trying to improve things, and like where they seem to be in control, it seems to be somewhat better, but there's still crime, there's still people that are that just don't want to go anywhere, and yeah, it's a weird situation, man. It's like they'll keep voting for the same bad government because they believe the same bad government is the one that saved them. So they're like super loyal to those. And anyone else is just someone fighting against their heroes, even though their heroes are long gone. So it's a weird situation. I don't know, and also I don't even know if the votes themselves are actually not corrupt, because there's all sorts of stories you hear where, like, for instance, when the voting was taking place, there was a guy, he puts it in the back of his car, no police escort, nothing, drives off to go, you know, deliver it to the counting office, and it's like, so where does he go after that? No one knows what he does. And I've heard things where they were counting dead people's votes, and they were counting people who didn't vote as voting for the majority. So,
We've had similar accounts in this country.
oh, is it? Jeez, I wouldn't have thought
Yeah.
Ireland would have had that problem as.
Oh yeah.
Were they just?
Oh
Was
yeah.
it like the votes being taken in a car thing, or is it just like they just
Yeah.
counting dead people's votes, kind of?
Both. Yeah. I think corruption is worldwide, as you said. I think it's takes on different faces in different countries, according to the way you have different cultures and the way different people behave and think. But because of the human condition, I think that yeah, corruption is everywhere, and people, when a hierarchy gets big enough for long enough, you're going to get corruption. And I think when that pyramid loses its supporting factors at the base and further up along, it eventually comes apart, as you said. And so that sounds like where South Africa is at the moment. And I think, like all good things must come to an end in order for something good to start again. And that just seems to be the nature of life. But to do that with the least amount of discomfort for the most amount of people, I think is the crux of the matter, and is the what should be the emphasis. But by the very nature of corruption and the human condition, you end up with that not being the emphasis. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also one of those things, like if it does come to some big revolution or something like that, with South Africa being an African country, you look at all the other ones where it could go a lot of ways. Maybe it does go better, but it could also go just a whole lot worse. There's starvation, there's all sorts of terrible things that can happen, and it's like, how bad does it go before it comes back? Then does it just keep going down? What's the end point?
Good question.
Yeah.
Good question. And what is the end point for every culture, and what is the end point for every society and civilization? What do we call the end point? What do we see as the end point? Does the end point present itself regardless of what we think or see? Okay, I'm starting to rant a little bit. I talk a lot of shit. Okay, so yeah. So any other ideas for any videos for the future?
No, I haven't thought that far. I've just got that first one. I'm still kind of, I don't know. I feel like I'm experimenting. I don't even know, like, if I'm nichifying, if I want to do like commentary. It's a little bit all over the place, but I'm enjoying the videos that I'm just sitting there talking. It's actually quite nice to do. Yeah, but nothing that I can think of other than that one, which I know it sounds ridiculous, but I feel like a little bit of lightheartedness to, lighten up some things might be a good thing right now.
Yeah, and it could push you into another area. Like while you're doing that, you might actually consider or think about something else, another video too. I still have to watch your video about your haunted house. Your house was haunted.
Yeah,
and you may talk about that a little bit here, but I also want to mention that you did another video. You did two others that I'm aware of, and I have yet to watch them. You walked through an Irish woods.
Yes.
And did you go through a graveyard as well?
Yeah, there was an old Irish graveyard. I love it, the old ruined buildings, and just how everything's kind of overgrown, and the graves, they're sort of standing every which way, and it's like there's so much history there, and that's one thing I really love about this place. It's like South Africa is great, and I know it has ancient history, but you don't see so much. You don't see so much of it, and it's over here. It's like you see these castles and these old buildings that have been there for
Civilizational history, it's called.
yeah, there we go. That's the word I'm looking for. But yeah, I love that stuff, man. And the forest thing as well. Still a lot of forests I want to see. South Africa's got its like wild sort of bush areas. It's nice enough, but it just gets hot, and you can't exactly like lie on the floor and look at the trees blow in the wind there. You get attacked by some snake or burnt by the sun. So
yeah. I would miss all of this. I know that for a fact. Like, I'd miss Irish weather. If I had to leave this country, I would miss the weather. I would miss the rain. I'd miss all of that. I'd miss the green leaves, and the wind in them and everything. I mean, that's my soul. That's my spirit. Like, I mean, I would miss that if I ever had to leave this country. And I think that's what a lot of Irish people feel is they love that. That's in their soul. It's a part of their being, And yeah, is Gibson a Scottish name or an Irish name, or what is it? Where does it originally come from?
Both, technically. So
yeah,
I know
one of those names. Yeah,
there is a Scottish. Like I've looked up the forget the word now. The crest. There's a Scottish crest for Gibson, and there's an Irish crest. So yeah, it could be both. I can't actually trace that line of family further enough because the person who gave it to me would have been well, the line stops with my grandfather because he was an orphan, so I can't go any further than that. But yeah, it is. I think it's something like that, son of Gilbert, and I know it goes back all the way to the Norman invasion of England. So yeah, it's pretty far. I know. I actually did an ancestry test to see where
you found out you're part pygmy.
No.
Oh, okay.
Not quite. Not that exciting. I did find out that I got. I think the majority was English, because they put it all together: English, Scottish, and Irish. They don't seem to differentiate them too much. And then the next part was Germanic, which I guess was the Afrikaans part of me. And there's some French there, which I had no idea of, and Norwegian too, which I love Vikings, so I was pretty proud of that much.
Well, this country's the Vikings the majority Vikings that settled in Ireland were of no. Sorry, no, they were Danes. Sorry, my mistake. Okay, keep going.
I did hear that they did in like long ago. They did actually invade Ireland as well. Where they went, I think it was. And now I'm probably mispronouncing this. Yule. They built the wall there, and I know that they used to have raids apparently as well over there, and I think it was also here in Cork. They would just come around the coast. So there's probably a lot of. I mean, if you did some ancestry tests, I'm sure you'd find some Norwegian, because I think they just they went everywhere and they did what they wanted with the woman, whatever they could find appealing. Really, I think a lot of Europe would have Norwegian in them, to be honest.
Yeah. True. I think too, though, we tend to, I know they raided and I know they were violent, but you got to remember too, like that there were people, and like, in order for people to be assimilated into their societies, they had to. There were obviously codes of conduct as well. Like, they had to behave in certain ways. Not always. I know you're always going to get people who are outlaws, and when they're out on their own, they do what they want. But en masse, I mean, when they start to structure as a people, there are codes of conduct, and I think that then becomes the defining behavioral Okay, I get too technical on this stuff, so go right ahead and keep talking there, Chad.
No, you should explain it. I don't mind that. But yeah. Oh, actually, also with the ancestry thing, I found out that I got a tiny bit of French. I think it's like 2%, and then 1% Bantu, which is South African.
Back off.
Yeah,
Back off.
1%.
You've got a bit of Bantu in you.
Yeah, 1%, and then there was another one which was like
How
literally
do you get 1%
Nigerian.
Bantu?
Yeah,
Nigerian.
yeah, 1%. So 2% back then.
But how far back do your ancestors go?
That must be ages away. Because if it got 1%, that's way back. Like,
I can't get my head around that.
yeah, it's weird. It was a surprise for me as well. I didn't expect it. I mean, I'm not.
But like even just from the point of view of the amount of time that Europeans have been in South Africa, like, yeah, as you said, the 1%. How does that fit into the timeline?
I don't know. I mean, for all I know, like I didn't know where the French came from, so maybe it could have easily been like a Frenchman that went down to Africa and then came back with a lady.
Look what Brian Baru says. Look what Brian Baru says.
Brian who?
Brian Baru. He says Huguenots in South Africa. He says that there were Huguenots in South Africa.
Huguenots. I don't know that word. Oh, I see.
Yeah. We had Huguenots here as well.
So that's where it comes from.
Possibly now, yeah. And Anne hates those tests. She hates they sell your DNA on the Irish people will hand over their DNA with the swab test. Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do it!
It's too late.
Stop! Don't do it.
Yeah, I have heard of this, and I kind of only looked into it sort of afterwards. So yeah, it was interesting. I definitely wouldn't say if you're worried about that kind of thing, don't do it. I agree with it.
Yeah.
I see what he did there.
I see what you did there. So yeah, that's cool though. I know it's a tricky one. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing something like that, but for that reason there that Anne said, I would be kind of cagey about, with say, doing it myself. Because I would like to know what's going on in the back. But do they just go like, okay, what have we got here? Okay, we've got his spit, right? Fuck that in the bin, and we'll say he was here. There was we had
it's possible, man.
A little bit of Genghis Khan. Yeah, okay. Put that in his envelope and send that off to me. Just fuck it, Did you throw it? Yeah, put that in the burner. And so, like, how much do you trust them? Is what I wonder. So they probably went with you. They probably went, what does this guy look like?
Yeah, just look, because they have your name, so they just look up Facebook and it's like, yeah, he looks like he's got a bit of that, a little bit. Yeah.
So, and they go like, oh look, he's totally Caucasian. Sticking a bit of Bantu, right? We're just sticking a little bit of Bantu. We won't know.
Actually, I also had I think like 3% European Jew, and
oy vey.
Now I got all, I think I can say anything now. I think, or is it still wrong?
Yeah.
But I also had some Baltics, so it's all over the place.
But you feel yourself wanting to start up media platforms or anything? Feel yourself wanting to kind of start up a law firm or?
Oh yeah, I'm tempted.
Banking system, are you? No.
Okay. Definitely tempted.
So what have you got here? The Chinese have been shipping for thousands of years. Whites undoubtedly did the same. So flotsam and jetsam. in South Africa. You know?
Yeah, there's probably also people that went there, to be honest.
Yeah, just like, you know, the way all the kind of plastic is collecting somewhere in the South Pacific. That's what happened with
That's South Africa. Still there. Everything just gets washed up there.
Washed up. Whoa, where am I? So, and okay, stick that one up. Exactly, con job, data building. Yeah, so like, well, they found that out, didn't they? They found that out from Facebook and from YouTube and from Google, that they were data mining all the information that they were getting from the people who use these platforms, and they were selling them off to major. They were selling them off to major countries like Britain, Israel, Russia, China. Was it China? Yeah, I think it was. And so all the major platforms were basically selling your information. They were selling it. They found that they were just taking the information, as you said, data mining, and selling them on. Yeah.
It's actually quite scary when you think about it. And it's like, when I started looking into that kind of stuff as well, I was like, I was really tempted to just delete everything, you know, especially Facebook. And I've started the video, so I kind of use these platforms now. But I've kind of come to the point where I don't really use it for anything other than just uploading my stuff. So it's like, you know, even just liking that or not liking that, it's like, I think they can use that information and they will sell it eventually.
Yes, they do.
So I don't get involved with anything other than just promoting what I need to promote, and that's all it is. It's just a big billboard for me. That's it. And I know that's still information, but
yeah,
I guess I'm using them. They're probably using me too, but you know.
Yep, it's a happy relationship. The loving, giving and receiving relationship.
Except I think they make more money out of it than I do.
That's for sure. Yeah, but you want to get your 3% going, you know?
Yeah.
Did you see that?
No, that was quick.
Yeah. Clue cards, all data mining. Yes, exactly. So, is there anything else you can think of that you wanna throw in the mix? Or,
no, not that I can think of. What about you?
How have you been finding? Have you been finding the lockdown? The lockdown? Have you been finding the
terrible,
lockdown?
Man. Absolutely irritating. You know, when it first happened, I was obviously like, I started hearing about the virus and everything, and I was like, oh, this is. I was worried about it, and back then everyone was like, oh no, it's not a big deal, you know. And then it came, and then it was this outcry about it, and everything started locking down. The worst thing for me, to be honest, throughout this whole thing is the fact that I can't go to gym. That and
right.
I do one, like I really did miss being able to go out to, you know, see places and visit friends and things like that. That's probably the most annoying thing for me. I didn't specifically get depressed or anything about it. I did what I guess I didn't get depressed about that on its own, but I did get I'd say somewhat depressed about the fact that, you know, everyone and everything was just going along with it. It's like, this is it. You can't protest about it because then you're gonna spread it. You can't do anything about it. You just have to sit there and accept that some advice from a corrupt organization is the way to go. And that's like, okay, just sit there and deal with it. And now we've got to go through all this. But yeah, I'm glad it's looking like it's coming to an end. I don't think it's going to be a full end. I think they're just going to drag it on in any way they can. I almost feel like the easing is so that people don't eventually get sick of it. Yeah, I don't know. What about you?
What about me?
How did you take the lockdown?
I just use it to I would just kept obsessing over my electric bike. That's it.
That's a good enough thing to do.
Yeah,
I started the video as well.
Huh?
That's when I started the video as well. I thought I had all this time
Yeah.
sitting at home somewhere.
I thought that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought that about you did. Yeah. Well, I just started going out to places around Cork City on the bike, on the electric bike, um, and just kind of fine tuning the thing and learning its weaknesses and its strengths, and what to add, what to take away, and yeah, it was mainly about the bike, all about the bike.
Is it in full working order now?
It is, but there's a lot to be done to it still. There's
Ah.
parts to be added still. Yes. Funny, yeah, there's a lot to it. I don't know whether to get technical or not, because people are going to be going, you know, who's in the chat that has a technical mind? Tell me. Like, okay, so when I put the bike together first, where the bloody hell is the camera? There, right. So
Yeah.
if you notice on the front of a bike, the front suspension where the handlebars are up here, it's usually at an angle like that, right? The wheel is down
Right.
here, and the reason for that, there's a reason for that. The reason it's not straight like that is that a couple of things. When it hits a rock or bump in the road, the suspension is at the right angle to meet that impact.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, but there's another one, and that's the further back you go straight up like that, the less it goes, the more it goes towards 90 degrees to your bike, you get less what's called trail. Trail is kind of a projected distance out from the point of contact of the front wheel, and what you get is it becomes more skittish. The faster you go, the more skittish and wobbly it becomes. So the more stronger that angle is, the more lazy and stable the steering becomes.
Oh, I see. So then because I know, I remember when I was riding a bicycle, it's like if you go too fast, you start to feel that wobble. So does that mean then that you can actually go faster the more that it's sloped that way?
Yeah. So I had put my own suspension. The bike has rear suspension, and it was a longer rear suspension. And so when I made the rear suspension longer, it actually made the front handlebar distance to the wheel straighter. And so at faster speeds, it'd get quite wobbly, quite skittish. And so what I did was I like a good few months into the build of the bike, I put in the original shocks, that shock absorber that came with the bike, which is shorter.
Yeah.
And I was amazed. Well, I wasn't that amazed. I knew I was going to do it because my bike engineer friend had told me that when I put in the shorter suspension, it actually increased that angle, and it actually made the steering really stable. And it was like, well, this is nice. I can go faster now and not worry about throwing myself over the handlebars, you know. So yeah, that's that. So Emmanuel Godson wants to know, what's your favorite films?
I liked V for Vendetta, actually.
Right.
That was definitely one of my favorite, and Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
I absolutely love those movies. Back when movies were good.
Why do you like V for Vendetta? What is it about V for Vendetta that you liked?
I liked the aspect of it. It just seemed like there was this guy who, even though he was the only one, he was actually fighting against what was tyranny back then. I say back then, it's back then in the story, but I like that aspect, and in the end, he was willing to die for it, and that was something that really spoke for me. I'm not saying that's something that I myself would ever be doing, but I like the dedication.
He sacrificed himself, or was going to sacrifice himself. Why does that appeal to you?
That's the dedication, man. It's the dedication to what he believed in and the movement, and what he saw as like he was so dedicated to improving things and fighting this tyranny that he was willing to die for it. And I feel like that's not something people do anymore. Well, they'll die for, I suppose, you see this happening in some countries with ideologies and things like that, but it's I don't know, it's a weird one. I really enjoyed that movie. It was the whole story. Like, it's all these sort of things that the government's trying to do. Like, they implemented there was that disease that happened in the story, and they used that again to control people, and it got so crazy, which is kind of reminiscent of the times. But yeah, I just love that. I think it would be nice if more people that dedicated to actually fighting tyranny.
You have to define tyranny first, though, don't you?
Yeah. But I definitely think that the Chinese government is a tyranny. That seems pretty obvious. I don't know that. I don't know. It's a little more complicated in the countries in Europe, I'd say, and America, because tyranny can be. There's a lot of aspects, if you're just controlling the people through other means instead of directly, I guess it could still be a type of tyranny.
Definitely. Good point. Why did you like Lord of the Rings?
I love fantasy. That's all. I don't know, man. It was a nice balance. Had a good story. Had a good ending. The characters felt well developed, and they weren't sort of placed there. It wasn't like there was much of a political agenda to the movie or anything like that. It was just a good, nice story. That I like that. Sometimes I don't want politics to be in every aspect of my life. Sometimes I just want to see a nice story, and that's what Lord of the Rings was for me. So I like that, and I really do miss that aspect in movies. I wish it could go back to that, where it wasn't any.
Try being 48. Try being 48.
Yeah. So
try being 48 and seeing
you've
what's
had
happening.
more time to see some of the good movies back in the day when it wasn't constant political agendas. So it's like
yeah. So try having an entire lifetime of no identity politics, and then everything just poisoned with identity politics, and you're like, can you imagine, like, it's like somebody shoving a wedge in your brain and going he's going, no, you can't think like that. And said, but that was my world. That was my world. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was my world. And so yeah, and I'll tell you my story with Lord of the Rings, right? A couple of years ago, 7-8 years ago, I had the worst flu that a human being could ever have. I was dead walking. I was 3 days. I couldn't see past the tip of my nose. That was my worst. I was lying on the bed, like that, and there were flies buzzing around me.
Jeez.
Bad. It was the worst.
Yeah.
Like, it was the flu. It was the kind of flu whereby you go, that's why all those Native Americans died. And it was that flu, right?
All right.
And it was basically, you went, oh fuck, that's how it happened. So during my recuperation period, I watched all of the Lord of the Rings, including The Hobbit, back to back, from start to finish. It was like a biblical experience. It was like
you went on a long journey.
Yeah.
Were you better by the time it came to the end?
It was like, well, at the end of it, it was like, I've just had a religious experience. It's like, I feel like a different being. It's like all my cells had been rearranged, and it really was amazing. Try it sometime. Just take a day out of your life and get food, have food, toilet paper, and start watching The Hobbit and just go without end from
Yeah.
start to finish, and go, you'll just come out the other side going, differently. So this is Emmanuel Godson's epic B movie. Is that serious? Is that true though? Is that real? Is that real? Does that exist? Attack of the Five-Headed Shark. Didn't they have? Didn't they, when they're making
That's
those? Hey,
Sharknado or something, so I wouldn't be surprised
yeah.
if it was a five-headed shark movie. I really wouldn't be
When
shocked.
I saw them, they were bringing like they were like okay, says yes. So like they were throwing out these they were throwing out a load of those kind of like really badly titled. They could have been excellently well made movies, but they were like the titles were "It's Raining Sharks" or "Frisbee Killer Sharks" and stuff like that. Weren't they? They were for a while. They're putting out all these things about sharks, like as in really weird title movies. And that they may have been like Alfred Hitchcock level movies. Like I can't assume, So all right, so behind that one. Yeah, so he made a good point. Not to get too serious because we're after lightening it a little bit there. But where is he? Where is he going? Where is he going? Jamie, yeah. Jamie says this about it. He said they're spinning the China thing hard again the last 2 days. That's true, Jamie. I did notice that myself. I did notice that.
In terms of the China thing,
Jamie, you're talking about the spinning the virus thing again, going back into that it's been. Or are you talking about something different? Are you even still here? Like, if you're still here, Jamie, did you mention? Are you talking about the virus thing? Or are you talking about spinning China as a world power as something else? I did notice that they started talking again more about China again in the last couple of days on the media and stuff. So I got to go back and hide that now because there we go, hide. Get it now, and that is my own motto. That is my motto. I came to that conclusion years ago, and I'll put an addendum. I'll add on to that. When you say get busy or get busy dying, you must do what supports whichever one you've chosen. And you're right. You can't choose to not live, and you may be dying. You've got to really support one or the other. And some people do. Some people smoke the shit out of themselves and they end up dying.
so you think it's the kind of thing where you're living on the edge to eventually die.
Yeah, and some people just smoke like crazy. Jamie, what's that there? That's a square. I mean, your emoticon on your phone is not being read by the online program.
I can see it though. It's the sort of blank face with the closed eyes.
Can you see that? I can only see a square.
It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, it's whatever way my PC is interpreting it. Maybe. Okay. Bloop, 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 bloop. What did you say? You didn't have the flu; it was your body detoxing. Yeah, I know that theory as well, and I tend to subscribe to it as well. Yeah. See, like, that's a whole other thing, and there's a lot of truth, I think, in that. Yeah. See the way she says, like, check it out. The whole pharma thing is a lie. If big pharma can commercially convince the world that the flu and viruses are something that need to be cured and not your own body engaging in a process, they can then provide you with what you need or what doctors need to supply you with to heal you. And so basically there's money to be made off of that. And so I think there could be, like, you have to, like, obviously we can't know that unless we have that, we can verify it for ourselves. But I think by the very nature of how I see the world now, I think that quite possibly is more true than not. So good point, Anne. Nice one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. I mean, you look at the stuff they're doing, it's like you don't know what's true and what isn't. It's like one moment they tell you something, and then suddenly it's a different story somewhere else. The WHO will say something else, and then it's like, what are they, selling with this stuff?
Jamie, are you back on? You said there earlier about that China showing up again in the news quite a bit. Is that to do in what your estimate and what you remember? Is that to do with the virus, or is that to do with some other information about China coming out again? What do you say? What do you say if you're hearing we talk? Yes, yes. Thank God I do. All right. You there, Jamie? Yeah, it's everything COVID-19 outbreak. And they're they're reworking the narrative again, aren't they? They're saying that there's another outbreak, such a thing. Exactly. Don't wear masks. What's that say? Don't wear masks, wear masks. Brian Bruce says, I'll wear a mask at the end of a gun. I won't be wearing a mask. I won't be wearing it. I find it hard enough to breathe anyway. I don't need a mask to actually throw my own carbon dioxide back into me. No thanks. Same shit all over, yeah. We're having a grand old chat here, aren't we?
Yeah, it's been too long that we've actually had a chat like this.
I was thinking the same thing. We used to see everybody who's listening at the moment, myself and Chad, used to chat in real life over coffee in a local cafe. And we used to have these chats just as words fail me today. Myself and Chad used to just chat like this in real life over coffee. And it's great. Like we're doing it. It's like we're doing that now. It's just I don't have my cappuccino with a little chocolate toffee. Do you remember the chocolate toffee, Chad? Yeah. Walkers.
It's through a screen now.
Hey?
It's just through a screen now. Hopefully that place opens up again and we can do that again sometime.
You mean you're not real?
No, I'm just a picture, just a moving picture.
Don't say such a thing. Don't screw me over. It'll work with my head for the night. Anyway, yeah, something so silly. Anne Moynihan says, I bought Vax the movie to Ireland in 2017 and I'm on a watch. What do you mean you bought the movie to Ireland? How do you bring a movie to Ireland? It was in 2017. Vaxed. Explain that, Anne. Can you? Can you explain that?
That's interesting. Have you haven't seen that?
No. Anne, can you further elaborate on that, please? Thanks. So Chadley, do you have a dog?
No, I have a cat.
A cat, right? Yeah. Do you have a cat that's like a dog?
No.
Okay.
She's nothing like a dog. She's 100% cat. Everything you can imagine with a cat. What about you? You don't have any animals, or do you?
Oh, I love him. I actually, do you know what I started watching recently as a way to relax? Like I went through a very bad patch about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I broke up with a lady and I was absolutely dismantled, broken. I was a broken man. And ridiculously so. I mean, for no good reason. But I'll tell you what I did used to the one thing that used to fucking just balance me was looking at dogs.
Looking at dogs? What, like dog videos?
No, real dogs. Just looking at them. I used to get chilled. I just used to, because dogs, you see, dogs are naturally balanced creatures. Dogs are never out of balance. If a dog's out of balance, it's for very, very good reason. You watch dogs balance each other instantly, and also because they're so much a part of us dogs that they have that connection which brings us into balance really quickly. And So like I started watching a video channel recently on YouTube called Takis Shelter, and it's a dog shelter in Greece, or is it in a place around Greece? Um, where did he say it was? Begins with M maybe, and it's some island off Greece. But he's got hundreds of dogs on this, and it's all olive trees. It's like really like real cliched hot Greek
Yeah.
land, and he goes out to these places where dogs are chained up and everything, and he's talking away and he's filming it. And he's a very charismatic kind of character himself. But I always thought I could just watch that, like I could just sit back and just half an hour later, I'm like, oh, it was nice, that just takes me on, I like it, like, yeah. Okay, so Anne has replied, and she says, yes, have you not seen? No, I haven't seen the movie. Vax the movie, check it out on BitChute. Okay. It is about the corruption of the CDC in relation to the MMR vaccine and autism. It's a must-see movie to educate all. Excellent, Anne. Okay, I will be having a look at that.
Yeah, I'll definitely add that to my watch list.
So, what was that? So, Emmanuel Godson there, the artist lad, he's a cat. He has a cat. And
cats are good. You know what's nice about cats?
I love
the
cats
way
as well.
they like humans tamed dogs, but cats, they kind of they came to us on their own. They saw people at a fire and they started giving them food, and so they decided they're going to hang around us. And they say that cats are still not like completely domesticated. They've just decided to stay. I like the independence of a cat. Like the cat can do its own thing, and
For sure.
it's not, some cats are. I guess I get that they're needy. Some of them, and that's all right. But I like how independent they are.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. When I was a kid, we grew up with dogs. We didn't grow up with cats. But then later we started to get cats. But before that, I used to visit my relations, and the guy there had a great relationship with his cats, and they were a strange creature to me, and I was terrified of them. And some of his cats were like nearly the size of a human, laid out like they were.
They were big.
They were huge, and they were hairy, and these things But my cousin who knew cats, and I know cats now. Because we since had cats, we had dynasties of cats. We had generation after generation after generation of cats, and so you get to know cats after that, and I absolutely love them. But yeah, I do like their independence as well. And dogs are very balancing, though. I remember we had one dog, and I didn't know dogs at this stage, and when I was younger, and we had this dog, and he was a lovely fella, and I always regret it. He was barking like crazy one night, and I went out and I slammed a sweeping brush handle on his head. No, I'm joking. On his on his I slammed the sweeping brush handle on his kennel to will you be quiet? Will you fucker? You keep me awake, like. And this is how you behave in the countryside, when you're rough and ready, shall we say? But so we had that relationship. And Goldie was his name, Goldie. And so he was sitting inside in the kitchen one evening, and the whole family was trying to leave really quickly out the other door, and Goldie wouldn't budge from the kitchen. And I was shouting at him. I didn't know how to behave, Okay, at the time, I'm a reformed character now around animals. And basically, Goldie taught me how to behave around dogs. So this is the point I'm making here, is that Goldie wouldn't budge. I was like, Goldie, come on, move, get out the back. I was like, he's just sitting there.
Not bothered.
Not a bother out of him. This is what I'm saying about dogs. You know what I was saying about a second ago? They're really balanced. They teach you. And he wouldn't move. No. and then all right, Goldie, look, will you, will you come out the back? Come on, you're a good dog. You're a
It's
good dog.
just reason with him.
Legs up, arse up, straight out the back door. That's
Oh,
me thought. That's me thought. That's me. I was thought a lesson. Goldie thought me a lesson.
that is quite cool. I actually I also grew up with dogs, and I do miss it. You know, it's something you need a yard for. So I don't really think we would even be allowed to keep a dog in this apartment. But yeah, I eventually want to get one day. I like how you can they're much more trainable than cats, and I like that aspect. Like you can make a dog sort of walk beside you. You know, if you're going for a walk, and just behave well, and it'll be fine. And I like that aspect of dogs. Um, and yeah, hopefully I eventually get a dog and I can do that. But I can't do
Would you
that
like
now.
a small? Would you like a small dog or a bloody huge dog?
Not huge, not small. Probably I've always liked huskies. I wouldn't mind that.
Right, cool.
The
Huskies, nice.
mean ones.
You know that they're very vocal. Huskies
Yeah,
are
yeah,
seriously
that's
vocal dog. Yeah,
quite vocal. That's
yeah,
it's a bit of a downside because you never know you're trying to sleep or
yeah.
uh,
Did Chad get up? Chad, why are you in bed?
this
Chad,
is why
stop
you need a
lying
yard.
down. Chad, get out of
Leave them
bed.
outside.
Chad, I'm bored here. Chad, get out of bed, will you, Chad? Why are you in bed, Chad? Your dog, if you get a husky, that's what you have to put up with.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. Oh well.
I like, you know what kind of dog I like?
Yeah,
Kind of dog I like is, do you know dingoes? Australian
dingoes.
dingoes. Yeah.
Hmm.
I like dogs which are like dingoes.
That
They're
look
kind
like
of, they're kind
dingoes.
yeah, they're kind of rangy and bouncy and kind of semi wild looking, but the
Hmm.
short hair, the kind of it's hard to explain. The kind of I know there are like there are man-made breeds or there's naturally made breeds. Both of those statements just cancel each other out. But like there are breeds of dogs which are kind of like wild looking dogs, but
Hmm.
they're not big as you said, and they're not really small, but they're um, athletically springy, wild looking. It's hard to explain, um, and I love that kind of dog. That kind of dog, I like it. Yeah.
Do you think you'll ever get a dog? I mean, obviously, if you have a place that's suitable, kind of a thing.
Um, if I get a patch of land, I probably would. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, yes. Um, yes. Let's look at the chat. So Anne says we can own a dog, but you will never own a cat. True, very true.
Hmm.
They pick their own. Indeed, indeed. And she goes on to say, my cat is 14 years old. Wow, 14 years old. Not
That
sure.
is, it's pretty old.
Yeah, not sure what that is in human years. 97. No idea. Cats are very intuitive. Yes, they are. She has never been to a vet. Wow. Yeah. Never been to a vet. Wow. So jeepers, you're doing well by that cat, eh?
Hmm.
Yeah, and see, look, Jamie's right about that. That's what I've been seeing as well. If we go back a few messages there. This morning, Beijing says COVID-19 situation is extremely severe as new cluster emerges. See, they keep doing
Oh,
this.
yeah.
They keep doing this. And it's like,
We're gonna go for the whole second wave thing.
yeah, but it's kind of like we knew it. They prepare you for it.
Yeah, yeah.
The,
They were. What's the word for that? It's
uh, um,
conditioning, or is it?
yes. No, you're right. It's called I only said it to somebody today. Those two words. Hi words. Okay. All right. Oh, jeez, I can't even think now to say another word. Note to self: don't slap oneself on screen. All right, let's keep going. All right.
But, have you seen that movie Contagion?
I don't watch movies anymore. I don't watch
Hmm.
TV. I watch nothing anymore. I don't watch anything.
I
Anything.
think if you ever do at least find out about it, I think that was a good example of conditioning people before something happened, because I say there's a lot of similarities to what happened with this virus in that movie, because I think it was a virus that came out of China, although that was, I could be
Yes,
wrong,
Timmy
but I think
Johnny.
it was Hong Kong in the movie, but it was also from a bat, and it spread all over the place, and eventually people got these like little sort of passes for having their vaccine. So once they got their passes, they could go back to normal life. So it was like incentivizing the vaccine there.
Oh my
And
God.
um,
Could you imagine? Could you imagine they start doing that stuff?
and in the end of the movie, it's like this guy, it's his father and his daughter, and the daughter finally gets to now see the boyfriend because he's been vaxxed, and it's like happy ending. Um, there was
Like you
in.
can see,
Mhm.
you can see that here. I mean, like there's people who can't visit their elderly relations, their mother and stuff in hospital, and you can imagine that if the person is like dying, that to see them in their final hours, you would nearly break to take a vaccine or to start the vaccine usage in order to be allowed to go see your dying mother or father, like you know.
Yeah, and you got to wonder, like, what sort of methods will they use to eventually break people? It's like if they do this lockdown thing, and then there's this whole second wave, and then everyone's already kind of sick of the lockdown and staying at home, and then they're like, oh no, you got to do it again unless you take the vaccine. And I guess if there is a second wave, that's a good incentive for them to push the vaccine again on people. And it's like, yeah, you can go back to normal life. Don't worry, just take this. And I hate that. That to me is so wrong. I
Absolutely.
just that'll be the breaking point for me anyway. That
Well, like
that's
I said, yeah,
mm,
it's a gun point.
yeah.
That's my only masks and putting something in my body which I don't know what it is or somebody else is defining for me.
Mm.
Gunpoint. It's going to have to be at the end of a barrel. It's not going to happen.
But I
Um,
mean, what would you do if it's the kind of thing where they don't want you to leave, they don't want you to, go out and work or do any of these things? What would you do? Would you be able to still say no? Like maybe they don't do it by gunpoint, but they just take away almost every other right.
they don't know what they're dealing with. It's like they don't know what they're dealing with. I mean, if you're going to do that to people, they do. I think they do know what they're dealing with, which is why they haven't implemented it. I think they understand that if they start trying to break people to that nth degree, they're going to get people strapping bombs to themselves, walking into government buildings and just blowing the seven shades of crap out of themselves and everybody else with them. I think they know that they know that they will drive to people to that level of insanity, which is why they haven't done it. I
Mm.
think they haven't done that because they understand that when they start breaking people's sanity to that degree, that they will be it will be a an ex an see I'm just getting tired now. We're at 2 hours and 3 seconds here, but it would be an extinction event for them. It would
Yeah.
be an extinction event for their world order, because the very things, which is us, the very things they need in order to keep their plan agenda going, um, they need us to continue. And if they break us to the degree whereby we start losing our minds and strapping exploding polo mints to our bodies, walking into government buildings,
Mm.
um, it doesn't work in their favor either.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
let's
I know what you mean. I gotta think maybe though that this whole thing's just like a test run, a trial to see like
Always.
what they can get away with. And
Yes, of course.
sometimes I feel like this is like they pushed this lockdown to see, okay, how far can we get with these people? How many controls can we put in place?
Yeah, so like it was like where there in Ireland in the last year, I think it was in last year at one point they were pushing the narrative to see could they do a celebration of the black and tans in Ireland, like like, and there was immediate pushback. There was immediate pushback. People were up in arms about this, so they got their answer, and it didn't go ahead. You're right. I think they're all the time testing the waters. They're pushing people to see how far they'll go. And when the majority of people don't say no, they push it a little bit further, And I think that's where they've gotten to this point. I do think that the world economy is in a bad place. I think that yeah, I think this is an experiment in human behavior for them. I think they want to see how far they can push it, and it depends on us and our responses. Absolutely. So they are looking for martial law and want to bring in UN Army. Jamie says martial law and want to bring in the UN Army to Ireland. Well, yeah, like they've already got that to a degree. As I said, if they are to push to a point whereby we become useless, which is why I don't think they have pushed full martial law, then we become useless to them. If we're all talking about the same thing here, that has to be. It's what has to be assumed. Let's see. So Anne wants to talk a bit about alternative medicine. And I know fuck all about alternative medicine. I'm growing cabbages. That's my alternative medicine.
Yeah, I don't know too much about it myself, to be honest. But I imagine it's the kind of stuff they used to use before all of this stuff, and yeah, I'm sure there's definitely benefits for it. But
okay.
I don't know too much about it.
Me neither. And that's fantastic you do that. If you can benefit people, your cat, yourself, more's the power to you. Let me see. And he's going to play full of light. Great, excellent. Good to hear that about your cat. Of such advanced years. And the ensign is a daily dose of onions, garlic, and hold the onions anyway. Have a read. I love onions and garlic myself, to be quite honest.
Yeah, same.
So and Jamie says, yeah, I think we're all clued into this at this stage, really. Have you looked into the UN Agenda 21 and 30? It's not a happy ending. Yeah, and they've been incrementally moving us towards it.
What is this? I don't know about this.
So there's the United Nations agenda. It's called Agenda 21 and Agenda 30. And it's all to do with mass immigration. It's to do with the breaking down of borders of countries. It's to do with the centralized control of nations, creating a one world order.
So, but is this like actually?
Am I right, Jamie? Tell me if I'm right there, yeah, or wrong. Yeah.
Is this what? Have they put an actual statement out of this? Is it?
Yeah, they had. They actually had. Yeah, it was called replacement migration in the United Nations Charter, and they were getting such pushback on it that they changed it to sustainable development. They started calling it sustainable development after everybody said, "What? You want to replace us? Huh?" And it's like, yeah, okay, we better reword this, So, bang on, yeah. And Jimmy Johnny says, Jimmy Johnny, you can actually get organic potatoes in Tesco's for €2. There you go. I'll have some organic salads in a week or so if you want. Absolutely, absolutely. I'll swap you some cabbage for that. So
No,
see, that's how it works. That's how it works. Yeah, and before you know it, you've got a dinner. Jimmy Johnny, have you got a plot of land? No, you don't have to say anything. Keep that to yourself. We'll talk about that another time. So, Chad, do you have a patch of land at the back there? Do you have a garden that you can grow stuff?
no, nothing. If I was gonna grow anything, I'd have to do it on my windowsill.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm making. I've actually made shelves. Oh yeah, you talked about the lockdown and all that. That's what I did. I took planks of wood. I actually made shelves, attached
Started
them to
growing
my
some.
windows. Yeah, like a real lunatic, a
Nice.
happy lunatic, but yeah, and a well-fed lunatic soon as well. So
Well, at least you weren't putting newspapers on your window and covering out all the sunlight.
no,
And,
yeah, or
sitting
putting my pee in bottles in jars around the house. Let's see what else you got. Yeah. You won't be able to partake in society. No driving license, passport. That's the way it's going. Well, the thing for me, Anna, is the cashless society. The thing that freaks me out is that if they get away with cash altogether, it'll make purchasing completely regulated and completely centrally controlled. Like true communism. And you going to say something, Chad?
no, I was gonna say, it seems to be going that way. I actually saw. Well, I went to H&M in Cork City, and they didn't have any cash. And I've heard some other people going to other places, and they're just not doing it anymore. Seems like it's certain shops that are doing it.
Halford's the same. I was
Oh,
freaked
really?
out. Yes. I went out to Halford's and I stood in the queue, and then I went up to the little plastic window, and the gentleman said to me, "No, we're not taking money cash anymore." I said, "Oh, okay," and I didn't have the card on me or whatever, and I was well freaked out. I was talking to a friend, and I made sure to put the words "New World Order" a little bit louder than usual, and freak everybody out in the queue. So like that as well. Yeah, I think people get it though. I mean, it's. I think people get it. I think they get that this is not normal. That the behavior that's taking place with all this queuing and standing 2 meters apart is.
Yeah, it's weird.
I think they're getting that it's a bit more than. Anybody who watches the media and is constantly watching RTE, constantly listening to the radio, they're going to be thinking they need to stick the mask on constantly. I don't know that, Jimmy Johnny. I don't know that. I guess there are technical legalities about it, but to force a person to take money, I would imagine that in itself there's some legality to a person having to take legal tender legally. You know, um, but you could look into it, and that is an interesting issue to look into online. Um, and Adam and Monan says again, Irish Furion, Adam, not sure they will get away with cashless, seeing that the CIA run the drugs wars. How are the drug dealers going to score? That's a very good point. That is a very good point. Although I think they may want to stop dealing drug, and they may want to actually start dealing drugs. But I get you. I know what you said. I get you. Yeah, that's a really really good point. The drug dealers. Well, and I get, like, I'm semi dyslexic myself, and I get that predictive text is a bit of a pain in the butt. But yeah, drug dealers actually coming up to users coming up to drug dealers with debit and credit cards is a bit silly. It's a bit silly. So stranger things have happened. All right, this is what the end says. A lot of chemicals in regular potatoes. Blight spray is a poison. Um, unless they're organic. Unless they're organic. Organic does taste better. I can vouch for that. Um, and I don't know what Fed coin is. Do you know what that is?
No,
Chad?
I've never heard of that. Fed
Like, is
coin.
there an actual, Jamie, is there an actual coin called Fed, FED? Or is it, are you talking about Bitcoin and just kind of putting a slant on it, like, you know? So, yeah, that makes business brands and customers. Yeah, well, this is the way the behavior is going because of all this craziness. Jamie Cash is already gone for his pumped up fake stock market. When I should put that up early, but pumped up fake stock market when when that crashes, the whole world will be broke over. No, well, yeah, that's the whole issue, isn't it? And that's why people need to start actually figuring out ways to supply themselves with food, their own food. It's what our ancestors did. It's create your own supply chain of food. And Manan says, Ben Gilroy told me to pack up my shopping and walk out of the supermarket. It's up to them to prove theft because you did offer legal tender. Well, get back to us and let us know how that goes. I'd be really interested to hear how that went. You see that, Chad? Yeah,
Hmm.
it's funny, isn't it?
Jeez. That's.
I don't want to try. I don't want to try that. I don't want to walk out without paying in a supermarket.
Yeah. Yeah. You never know. You could get into. I don't know. It's interesting.
Try it and see how you get on. Okay. I think I'm going to leave it there because I need to eat a little bit, and then it's late.
It is.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you again.
Yeah, definitely. I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me on.
And it was a pleasure. And hopefully, I'll advertise it a little bit better next time. It's just getting used, guys. It's just getting used to how this works. I don't know how this works, as in with say setting up the. This is the first. Well, is it the first time I've done a StreamYard? I can't remember. But it is. It was. I was trying to set up the microphone, so the thing had started, I think, and people were waiting, and so I wasn't sure about that. I think I know what I'm doing with the microphone now. There was one port on my PC where the external sound card would work. All the others, it didn't work. That's how fiddly and fidgety these things are. Thanks to everybody who stayed with the chat. You are some bored people, I'll tell you that. But then, aren't we all? And it was great to have you here. And Emmanuel Godson says it was nice seeing you, Chad. Nice seeing your face in the mix. Tickle your cat for me. That's a lovely sentiment. Right, contaminated with COVID-19 on the nose.
That's actually a good idea.
Good one. That's a good one. Great chats. Thanks, Anne. Thanks for staying with us and keeping us company. And we're glad to be here with you for another night. And actually, I'll see if we get other people on at some stage as well. So, Chad, great seeing you again. And I missed you, buddy.
Great meeting you, man.
All right.
All right.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for tonight. Bye.